All right. Looks like we're up and running. Okay. All right. So let me get my wall set. There. Anyways, I mentioned this before. I'm doing maybe not all, but most of the chapters. We did the mastermind, the definite chief aim, goal, and self-confidence. Habit of saving, I'm skipping. As I said before, this book has been around for some time. So nowadays, that advice is passé. You can't save. If you put money into a savings account, a CD, an IRA, or something, the interest-bearing vehicle will be about a percentage, right, of the money that you put in there. So instead of your money deflating at 8%, as we are doing now, roughly, it'll only be 7.5%, right? So saving is archaic. You need to invest. I am not going to be giving investing advice anytime soon. I'm an investor myself, active investor through cryptocurrency, but I don't have a teacher's certificate, the know-how or the where-how or the time or inclination to teach that. I taught myself over a period of years, again, intensive studying, as Napoleon Hill says, and others, you have to, perform massive action. When you're trying getting a job, you have to perform massive action. Starting a business, massive action. Beginning your education, massive action. Beginning a family, massive action. Moving into a new home, a new neighborhood, massive action, right? Those things take a lot of effort, focus, and concentration, right? So we're going with initiative and leadership. That is what we're working with today. There it is, lesson 5. As I said, we skipped 4. So again, I'm going through this. I'm just kind of winging it, to be honest. I don't have anything planned. I've been, doing this stuff, this motivational achievement material, texts, and so forth, concepts, ideology, for years and years and years. I've read this book back and forth, inside and out, all the way through multiple times over. I've also sat down and written probably an article or 2, maybe even 3. It's been a while, but at least an article or 2 on each chapter. And why would you do that? Why do you write? Well, you write in school, in primary, secondary, higher education. You write in school to show your teacher that you know something, right? It's a form of testing. If you know something and you can write it in a way in which you can communicate fluidly, succinctly, logically, coherently to the reader or person who's receiving the material or video or written word, whatever, then that shows that you know it pretty well, right? You're able to voice it. Next best thing to writing is teaching. If you can write a bunch of essays or books or whatever on the stuff, then you should probably be able to teach it, right? So initiative and leadership: when you do not know what to do or which way to turn, smile. This will relax your mind and let the sunshine of happiness into your soul, right? A lot of people, a lot of the time, are very uptight. I think we're losing hope. We're losing confidence. I don't know if COVID is the main contributor, but people in general, probably, the way our government's been going over the years, over the decades, piling up more and more and more and more debt, inflation, things costing them more and more, opportunity for buying a home becoming less and less as it becomes more and more expensive, especially in California, where the average going rate of a house is about 81% over market average, countrywide market average, right? So, and jobs are a little hard to find, a little hard to get. Education, public education enrollment's down a couple million. That's been down a couple million or two, I should say, every year for the last few years. Enrollment in colleges way down. As I said, there's one college I've worked at for 22 years or something like that, and I've never seen it like this. 3 summers in a row now, no classes offered. I don't have a big problem with that. I like relaxing, but if the class is there, I usually take them, if I'm not doing other stuff like coaching and writing or whatever else. But the college where I teach, parking lots used to be full all the time. That'd be almost, I don't want to say impossible, but extremely difficult to find a parking space. But now if you go, and there's 3 tiers, top tier, middle tier, and then the bottom of the hill on campus. You got the 3rd tier of the parking lots. The 3rd tier is almost empty now. There's no problem finding parking. So higher education's been an issue too. And it happened before COVID. It began happening before COVID. COVID just exacerbated it, right? So people are uptight. What do? You stay uptight? Probably not the best mindset or perspective to work from. You've got to do something, right? Therefore, what I'm giving you, right? Well, what Napoleon Hill has given you, what I'm going over, and the other ideas and concepts that I'll be going over now and into the future. Right? You can do it if you believe you can. So that's the common statement for each chapter, right? Before you proceed to the mastery of this lesson, your attention is directed to the fact that there is perfect coordination of thought running throughout this course. Well, is that hyperbole perfect? Is anything perfect? I don't know about that. I don't know. Is that part salesman, part hope, part promise, part whatever, right? Nothing's perfect. But, it's pretty well put together. I think personally it's a little long. It's outdated, of course, by now. But the fundamental concepts that deal with humans and dealing with other humans in the workplace, that material is still relevant. That's why I'm giving you this, right? And anything that's not relevant, I will talk to you about it. That's why I skip over a good amount of passages. Also, the fact that some of these chapters are very long. I'm taking close to an hour, if not an hour, just to go over one chapter. So I don't need to be spending more time on each page, less, right? You'll observe that the entire 16 lessons harmonize and blend with each other so that they constitute a perfect chain that has been built link by link out of the factors that enter into the development of power through organized effort. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's true. As I've said for my program, I say first and foremost, you got to know you, right? What's your personality type? What's your learning style? What's your intelligence, and so forth and so on, right? And find out your basic strengths, inclinations. What did you come to this world wanting to do, knowing you can do, desiring to do, right? Something that's interesting, thought-provoking, motivating, fun. You'll observe also that the same fundamental principles of applied psychology form the foundation of each of these 16 lessons, although different applications made of these principles in each of the lessons. This lesson on initiative and leadership follows the lesson on self-confidence, for the reason that no one could become an efficient leader or take the initiative in any great undertaking without belief in himself. And this is true. There were certain things in me that I knew I had to fix. Me, I'm basically introverted, even though I've been teaching and lecturing, speaking in front of people now for 25, 30 years, if you include my entertainment industry years, right? about 30 years, I'd say, right? So I turned a weakness into a strength, and I had to. I knew I had a feeling, inclination, intuition, Einstein, intuition is everything. I had an intuitive feeling that there was something in here, right? First thing I knew, I needed to leave Connecticut. Connecticut. So I went to Boston, did stand up, and then after about 4 or 5 years or so, I knew I had to leave and go to LA, right? And then the rest followed from there, right? So you know at certain times, and that's one of the things that is often stated by people who are trying to get you to see that you can do things, right? That's what Napoleon Hill is about. You can do things, but you have to do sometimes in order to do things, do the thing or things that you need to do. For me, it was overcoming abject shyness, withdrawal, introversion, self-doubt, fear, anxiety, dependency, a whole bunch of stuff, right? That I've shed, pretty much. My wife met me way after. We've been married 21 years. She met me way after I had made the changes. So a lot of people, my students, my clients, and others can't believe, you weren't shy. Well, talk to my hometown friends, right? Overcame it. So certain things need to be overcome. If you need to get up in front of people, get up in front of people. If you need to move away from friends and family, out of town, out of state, then move. If you need to quit a job and get another job, I would suggest having another job lined up first. Don't just quit. Right? If you need to change careers, I've done that 5 times. Right? Do what you need to do. Because inevitably, when it's all said and done, you're not going to be laying there going, gee, I wish I had more fun, more time at Disneyland, spent more money, made more money, whatever. It's really going to come down to, did I have a satisfying, fulfilling life, right? Did I really sacrifice and do what I needed to do to maximize my inner potential, who I am? Was I good to myself and good to others? Did I do something? Did I make a mark in some small, medium-sized measure, at least, right? You'll know, right? Initiative and leadership are associated terms in this lesson for the reason that leadership is essential for the attainment of success, without a doubt. And initiative is the foundation upon which the necessary quality of leadership is built. Initiative is as essential to success as a hub is essential to a wagon wheel. What is initiative? Answer forthcoming. Some people say, I'm not going to be a leader. I'm just going to be an accountant and sit in the corner. I'm just going to program, sit in the basement, whatever. I'm going to be a security guard, and work 3rd shift. Well, that one, maybe you can't avoid people that way. I've done that job, and it's pretty scary. And you're all by yourself. But anyways, so leadership. Well, are you around anybody at any time, right? I assume you have family, you have friends, you have peers, you go to school, you go to work, right? People are always watching you, what you're doing, saying, thinking, feeling in any particular instance or occasion, right? And that's an opportunity to lead. You don't have to intentionally say, oh, I'm leading, but do stuff of character, good character, this is what we're talking about, inner projection. Do stuff of good character that would make you proud of yourself, and that's where the greatest respect comes from. All here. You don't, demand respect. You earn it. First of all, you earn it, and then you don't even care. If you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, you're happy. You're content in here. You're not looking for any external feedback in regards to, hey, you're great, you're amazing, respect, right? If you're doing it right, you don't look for that because you're doing it right? You've got solid character. You're a considerable character. In that many cases, you're quiet about things, right? Unless you need to speak up in order to make a point, in order to help, right? But very rarely, if ever, are you out there, should you be out there bragging, being braggadocious, running around, look at me, look what I can do, look how great I am, what a great golfer I am, or teacher, or role model, or neighbor, I don't know, whatever, right? That's arrogance, that's weakness, right? If you need other people to validate you, that's weakness. Me, I just sat in the house all day today. I love it. My wife and my last son, the other two kids have moved out, went away with family and friends to the river, and I stayed home and I'm working, right? I said, this is a great opportunity for me to stay. I got up, I laid in bed, watched a baseball game this morning. I don't think I got out of bed until 1 or 2 o'clock. Right. But if you really, really, desperately need people. I like people. I like being around people. Sure. But my main reason for being around people isn't to be braggadocious, or to have them give me something that fills in the holes. Fill in my holes with attention and praise and respect. Respect, bro. That's what a lot of people do on the internet. I don't post those silly things, because people are looking for, what's the word I'm looking for? They're looking for praise, they're looking for to be buttered up. You see people out there, look at me being wonderfully nice to people and giving to the needy, and being generous and being kind and being patient and being thrifty and being whatever, fill in the blank, right? And I'll post it all over social media and I'll get millions of likes, and my ego, my weak, frail ego, will be lifted. Right? It is that exceedingly rare quality that prompts, nay, impels a person to do that which ought to be done without being told to do it, right? That's initiative. Albert Hubbard expressed himself on the subject of initiative in the words, the world bestows its big prizes, both in money and honors, for one thing, and that is initiative. What is initiative? I'll tell you. It is doing the right thing without being told. It's kind of like being an adult, right? We always are trying to get our kids to do stuff without being told. Are we annoying them just so they'll do stuff so we don't have to do it? No, the reason why we're doing it is because we want to teach initiative, right? We don't want them to be a burden to themselves or anybody else, right? Why should they be? But next to doing the right thing without being told is to do it when you are told once. Okay. I have the older son who's 31, 2. I used to tell him to take out the garbage over and over and over again. So hard to get him to do one thing, right? But now, he's a dad and he's got multiple kids and he's doing fine. What do they say? You get stuff done either through desperation or inspiration. I couldn't inspire him, so he got married and he got desperate. I got kids. I got to be a dad. Oh no, desperation. I guess I got to do the right thing now. That is, say, carry the message to Garcia. Those who can carry a message get high honors, but their pay is not always in proportion. Next are those who do the right thing when necessity kicks them from behind. There you go. And these get indifference instead of honors, and a pittance for pay. This kind spend most of the time polishing a bench with a hard luck story. I've worked many years in higher education, and inevitably I've had deans and chairs say to me, geez, that stuff sounds great. I'm going to come into your class. I'm going to take your class. What dean or chair says to a teacher, I'm going to take your class, or I want to read your book, or you should teach your book, right, in class? Or I had one dean say to me, Jeff, you're smarter than I am. You do what you know you need to do, right? And I've always worked pretty much independently. I'm an adjunct part-time, so I hardly, if ever, see these people. I see them maybe at the beginning of each semester, when we all meet, before, when we do a little cheerleading, rah, rah, yay. But after that, I really don't see too many people. I'm in and out. I got things to do. All right. This guy spent most of the time polishing a bench with a hard luck sword. Then still lower down on the scale than this, we have the fellow who will not do the right thing, even when someone goes along to show him how, and stays to see that he does it. He is always out of a job, receives the contempt he deserves, unless he has a rich pobble, in which case destiny patiently waits around T116 Comer with his stuff club. I don't know what that's. Which class do you want? So bottom line, the more you take initiative, the more adult you are, the more responsible you are, the more accountable you are, the more likely you are to be energized, to feel good about yourself, to have respect for yourself. You want respect? Earn your own respect first. And really, that's all you need. You don't need to earn respect from anybody. If you do, you're pretty weak. Weakness is not where you want to be. You want to come from strength, right? My wife said to me one time, "You don't need anybody, do you?" I said, "Oh, sure, I need people. No, I don't need them a lot. And I find a lot of them annoying. But, everybody needs people. Just some less out of necessity. Inasmuch as you will be expected to take inventory of yourself to determine which of the 15 factors of this course you need most after you have completed the 16th lesson, it may be well if you begin to get ready for this analysis by answering the question that Albert Hubbard has asked: to which class do you belong? Good one, right? One of the peculiarities of leadership is the fact that it is never found in those who have not acquired the habit of taking the initiative. How can you be a leader if you're always being told what to do, right? Being told what to do comes from the known. A leader works from the unknown or the little known, right? A leader is out front. Well, what do? Most people don't know. We haven't had this problem before, or we have had this problem, and we had one person who knew what to do and could do it, but most of us can't. We need a leader, right? And guess what? Those people make the most money. Like in the military, the higher you go up in rank, you start out enlisted, you start out private, corporal, sergeant, the various levels as a sergeant, lieutenant, captain, colonel, general, right? And the various levels there. So what does all that mean? Well, it really means that you're just taking on more responsibility. As you move up through the ranks, you're responsible for more and more people, their lives, their livelihoods, and also the functionality of the company, in this case, military, right? You don't want a leader who's getting soldiers killed all the time or who is losing battles all the time, right? Leadership is something that you must invite yourself into. It will never thrust itself upon you. If you will carefully analyze all leaders whom you know, you will see that they not only exercise initiative, but they went about their work with a definite purpose, chief aim, right? What was that, the second one? You will also see that they possess that quality described in the third lesson of this course, self-confidence, right? Organized effort. Right? But last paragraph, this seems an appropriate place to state that this course is not intended as a shortcut to success. That's one of the things. I really don't want to listen to all of those videos. They're an hour long and there's 16 lessons, 16 hours. Well, I'll tell you what, if you read this, if you do what you're really supposed to do in order to effectively use the lessons, right? The items in this text, you're probably gonna have to read through that book multiple times. I suggest at least 3 or 4 times, if not more, right? And then go over, each one of those lessons that you feel you need to go over more, or don't know as well, or need to know better, right? That type of thing. And for a more important reason, that it will profit you to understand thoroughly the principle of organized effort, which this reading course is intended to establish in your mind. I'm hearing something. It's the word. This seems an appropriate place to state that this course is not intended as a shortcut to success, right? So anyone who wants to take a shortcut, that's not the way to be productive. That's not 4th of July coming. Did you hear that? That's not the way to do it, right? Nor is it intended as a mechanical formula that you may use in noteworthy achievement without effort on your part. Here comes the dog. She's been scared all day. She was in the bedroom all day. It's what, like 7, 8 o'clock at night. She's finally coming out. What time is it? Almost 9. All right. So we will now proceed to apply the principle upon which this lesson is founded by describing in detail just how it serves successfully to complete a business transaction, which most people will call difficult. So now we're going into an example, right? Or this is evidence to support the general abstract premise, thesis, right? That has been laid down. That's how you do it. Each in the book, there's a thesis for the whole book, and then each chapter has a thesis, and then maybe a section, a subthesis of that thesis, which is a subthesis to the main thesis of the book, right? And maybe periodically you have even more subthesis, where you have an idea that's broken down into several chapters. Such as, here's a subthesis. This is evidence, right? $25,000 question. Right? The space you occupy and the authority you exercise may be measured with mathematical exactness by the service you rendered. Almost everything in here, you know, I've been alive for some time. I've experienced a lot of things, and I've read many books over the years, hundreds. I don't know, it could be thousands. I've lost track now, to be honest. And, probably at least 1,000, if not thousands, right? So almost everything I run into here, and any of these good books, and these books that have been around for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years or more, right? If it's still around, if it's lasting, then it's got some merit. It's very substantial. It's been substantiated, right? The space you occupy and the authority you exercise may be measured with mathematical exactness by the service you render, right? So, and that's the thing, service is giving to others. So once you obtain a certain level of strength of self, right? And you've done a lot of stuff that this book tells you to do, and other books that I've given you are my methodologies as well, right? And you do all that stuff, and you've built up a certain inner strength, right? And you're projecting, right? Inner projector, you're projecting that inner strength, right? That's what happens, right? The space you occupy, the authority you exercise, authority, right? Authority is based in self-control. Didn't talk about that, right? Confidence, right? It's part of leadership, right? Authority, right? Exercise may be measured with the mathematical exactness by the service you render. So you're almost inevitably, what do soldiers do at any level, right? They're serving their country, right? The police officer serves, proud to serve and protect, right? Politicians are supposed to serve the people. That's it. Right? Teachers are supposed to help the students. Doctors are supposed to help the patients. Engineers are supposed to help the client, who helps the people, the general populace, by building buildings or aircraft or whatever, right? So it's really about, most of the stuff that we do is service. As a parent, who do we serve? We're serving our children. It may not seem like it, but the reason why we do what we do is because we want them to turn out well. And a lot of times it's a hassle, it's a pain. They don't cooperate, there's tension, but ultimately, most parents, good parents, I should say, qualified, want to see their kids do well, are in service to their children, right? And hopefully the children eventually are in service to their parents, especially when they're older. Anyone out there? Right? Talk to our kids about that. You're almost always in service. Right? Talks about marketing this course. Let's go to, he's still talking about his $25,000 thing. Example, plan was closed, right? Newly created department. I said no plan was offered. So sometimes some of these examples go on for considerably lengthy periods of time. I'm going to go to the second italicized portion there. A great philosopher once said, initiative is the passkey that opens the door to opportunity. Right? And usually to initiate something, it's kind of a black or white, on or off type of thing. You do it, as is popularly said, you do it out of motivation or inspiration. We will now proceed to outline the exact procedure that you must follow if you are to become a person of initiative and leadership, right? Again, I'm not going to, let's see. I'm not going to read all of this. So here's the first. First, you must master the habit of procrastination. Master the habit. Don't procrastinate. He's not saying procrastinate. And eliminate it from your makeup. This habit of putting off till tomorrow that which you should have done last week or last year or a score of years ago is gnawing at the very vitals of your being. And this is probably one of the main reasons why I feel good about myself. Because there's been a whole last month or 2 or 6 weeks or so, I've had all kinds of stuff I've had to do. Just annoying, not busy work, but things you have to take care for your personal future, for investments, for health, for family, for home, for work, right? All these little tasks and projects you've got to do. They're just kind of the intangibles, I guess, right? Little tasks. And I've had a bunch of them. I think I've gotten through most of them, and I pretty much do them when they need to be done, and I keep track of what needs to be done when. So I'm very rarely, if ever, caught off guard. I don't hear somebody say to me, maybe an employer or a family member, friend, or my wife, or a police officer, that you've been amiss. Got to stay on top of things. That's a leader. That's initiative. That breeds self-confidence. If you want to build self-confidence, do what you need to do and get it done when it needs to be done. My dad used to say that. If you got to do something, do it. Do what needs to be done and do it right. Do it efficiently. Do it effectively. And then do it again. You keep doing it. Do it. Right? Just do it. Yeah, so putting off is terrible. I remember I used to do that when I was a kid. I didn't want to study a particular class. I didn't want to study homework for a particular class. I didn't want to do math. I didn't want to do whatever, right? And I would just leave it there, and I would feel terrible. All weekend long, I felt terrible. And then Monday would come, I didn't have it, and it made me feel worse. It was, the worst, right? And then once I stopped doing that, probably stopped doing that in my early mid-20s, right? And it's made all the difference. And now I just do pretty much everything. Right? The method through which you eliminate procrastination is based upon a well-known and scientifically tested principle of psychology, which has been referred to in the 2 preceding lessons of this course as auto-suggestion. Copy the following formula and place it conspicuously in your room so you can do these things, right? Having chosen a definite chief aim as my life work, I now understand it to be my duty to transform this purpose into reality. If you're not used to doing these things, and I've done these things, and I think after a while, it's like anything. After you've done things for a while, you can take the training wheels off. You don't have to do them. Maybe not at all, or not as as step by step as you used to do, as you started out doing, because you start to learn the stuff. The stuff becomes, it's in here, right? It's innate. It's inside, right? And you build these they become habits, right? So you don't have to formally go through it, but when you're starting out, you got to formally think it out, right? Just like I had to formally take some tests to determine my character type, my learning style, my intelligence type. But now I know all about me. So I don't have to keep thinking about that stuff when I'm making decisions or doing things anymore. It's here, packed away. I know this is you speaking, right? Therefore, I will form the habit of taking some definite action each day. I'll carry me one step nearer attainment. Chief aim. I know that procrastination is deadly enemy. Doing some one definite thing each day that ought to be done. Looking around until I find at least one thing that I can do each day. Telling at least one other person each day the value of practicing the habit. I can see the muscles of the body become strong. I realize that the place to begin developing the habit initiatives and small complex things. I'm just reading through the first sentence or topic sentence of each paragraph. I understand that by practicing this habit of taking the initiative is connecting and so forth, right? Again, these aren't my lessons. I'm not teaching these lessons. I don't know if I've really even used all of these. I think it's interesting because by the time I came to this book, also Thick-Faced Black Heart, I had already been doing these things. And Thick-Faced Black Heart by Ching-Ning Chu mentions that Thick-Faced Black Heart is a concept that is not learned. It's in you already. You just have to become aware of it and release it or look to it, right? It's dormant, right? It's the inner stuff I talk about. It's dormant. You just have to become aware of it and tap into it. It's kind of like this stuff, right? Regardless of what you're doing now, every day you'll bring face to face with a chance to render some service outside the course of your regular duties, right? Be of value to others. Sounds like religion, right? You can look at it that way, right? Be in service to others, that's fine. But you don't have to be religious to do this, It's good to help people. I helped my dog not be afraid of fireworks last night. I thought she was going to have a heart attack. Poor little thing, shaking. Just like, had to calm her down. I help my wife calm down. She has a tendency to be too nervous about stuff. I very rarely get nervous about stuff. Sometimes I do. I recently have been very nervous about something. But that's a rare opportunity. That's a rare opportunity. That's a rare event. Opportunities I don't want, but a rare event, right? Happens. I had cancer. It's probably something to worry about. Heart attack, COVID, serious money loss, probably some things to be worried about. But if you worry about every little thing every day, you got to worry less. You got to look away from the worry and look to the solution. Stop looking there. Do what you need to do. Get over here, right? Get your head out of the worry and get it into the light. Start moving forward and progress. Do what you need to do. Right? And not to say it's going to be easy, right? But I think with time and effort, it becomes a little less draining, right? When you're trying to overcome life's challenges, right? Those who work for money alone and who receive for their pay nothing but money are always underpaid, no matter how much they receive. Money isn't necessary, but the big prizes of life cannot be measured in dollars and cents. And that's kind of that Daniel Pink thing, right? Daniel Pink talks about motivation in the workforce, which is really probably connected almost, motivation anywhere. He talks about the fact that people aren't, studies have been made time after time, and numerous colleges throughout the years, right? Top tier colleges, like Chicago University, MIT, and others, right? And they found out that to the greatest degree, people are motivated by money to a certain point. They need money and know that they need money in order to pay basic bills, right? To take the concern of money off the table. But once the concern of money is off the table, most people don't continue to be motivated by money. I need more and more and more and more. Sure, some do without a doubt, right? But research has shown mostly that's not how we find satisfaction. We usually find the greatest satisfaction through attempting to perfect what it is that we do, master it, right? To find a purpose behind what we do, right? And you see a lot of people time and again, they make it big and they drop out of high finance or Hollywood or wherever, right? IT, right? And start to try to live the simple life, something that's more geared around family or something that's not as so stressful or intense, something like that, so that you're living a fuller life, you're experiencing life more rather than just experiencing the rat race, on the treadmill. Get up, go to work, come on, get up, go to work, go sleep, get up, go to work. No amount of money can possibly be made to take the place of happiness and joy and pride that belong to the person who digs a better ditch or builds a better chicken coop or sweeps a cleaner floor or cooks a better meal. Every normal person loves to create something that is better than the average. Didn't I just say that? People like to master stuff. I don't know why, but think about it. Do you enjoy being terrible at something and being wrong all the time? Or do you enjoy doing stuff that you get right more times than not, that you can do better than most people? You're probably doing it better than most people because you enjoy it. You're good at it, and you're good at it, and you enjoy it, and you enjoy it because you're good at it, vice versa. The joy of creating a work of art is a joy that cannot be replaced by money or any other form of material possession. I remember the first time I got an audience to laugh, the first time I sent off a poem and got it published, first time I got married. Well, I've only been married once. I'm not saying I'm getting divorced. I'm just kidding. Those, first child, those things, money. I've made more money. I've made less money. I really don't know when that happened. I can't sit here and go, yeah, in 2010, that's when I made the most money. And I was the most happy. Not now when inflation is skyrocketing. What helped you over the great obstacles of life was asked of a highly successful man, the other obstacles, right? That's, 1,000 steps to a light bulb, right? Those are not failures. Those are opportunities, obstacles, steps, opportunities to learn, opportunities to get closer to the solution. Right? Remember that your only limitation is the one that you set up in your own mind. True. You really project, once again, as I said, I used to do stand-up comedy. I used to work with Bill Burr, Dane Cook, Billy Martin. He stopped doing comedy, started doing more writing than stand-up. He wrote for, who was it? Guy that used to, there was Whoopi Goldberg, Robin Williams, and the other dude used to do a lot of stuff together. I can't think of his name. He wrote for that guy. But anyways, I'm off on a tangent. Yeah, so there was a book on comedy. And in the book, the author, who was some old comedian from way back, even before there was David Letterman, Johnny Carson, and then before Johnny Carson, there was a comedian who did the first late night talk show, I think it was. My parents' generation, basically. And he said that, there was a comic, I'm sorry, he was writing about comics. He had interviewed comics and had comics write about comedy. Right? And this one comic said that what you take out to the stage is what the people will perceive you as, right? If you're confident, then they'll probably enjoy the show and they'll be right with you. But if you show intimidation, right, 1 ounce of intimidation, right, then you can lose the audience, right? So confidence is huge there. That's a leadership role, doing stand-up comedy out there all by yourself in front of dozens, hundreds, thousands of people. That'd be kind of scary. It scared the crap out of me for many years. What Let's go to the second paragraph. That is initiative transformed into practical, understandable terms. I would be remiss in my duties if I failed to direct your attention to an advantage other than a greatly increased salary that this young lady's initiative, there's another example, right, has brought her. It has developed in her a spirit of cheerfulness that brings her happiness, which most stenographers never know. So she did something out of the ordinary, right? Her work is not work. It is a great, interesting game at which she is playing. I do that a lot. I sit around and go, gee, it's time to work on my stuff for college, for class, or for social media, or for my business, or coaching. And I kind of look at it as kind of fun. It's kind of like a puzzle. It's a challenge. I don't dread it because I don't control it. I run my own classes. I run my own coaching business. I run my own writing service. So I'm in charge, right? I have to, that puts a lot of pressure on me. I can't just come in, sit at my desk and fall asleep and let everybody else, there's 200 employees there. I can let them, other people fill in for me today. No, I either perform or I'm done. Right? Even though she arrives at the office ahead of the regular stenographers and remains there long after they have watched the clock tick off 5 o'clock, her hours are shorter by far than are those of the other workers. Hours of labor do not drag on the hands of those who are happy at work. So this is kind of where I felt I was coming from, right? Second, you of course understand that the only way to get happiness is by giving it away to others, right? There it is. That's the service thing, right? In the field of salesmanship, it is a well-known fact that no salesman is successful in selling others until he has first made a good job of selling himself. Stated conversely, no salesman can do his best to sell others without sooner or later selling himself that which he is trying to sell to others. And you will observe something else of more importance still. You will observe a change in yourself. And this is another thing. Do not fail to try this experiment. Yeah, so try all of these things, do all of these things. You need to have these things done, right? You need to accomplish them. If you need somebody to coach you through this stuff, again, not my program. As I said, I came to this already doing a good portion of what is in here. I was doing it already, right? So but I don't know this program per se. I can't teach it. There's a lot here, over 1,100 pages, right? So I'm not going to pretend that I can teach it, that I know it that well. I can work you through my program, which I'll do eventually, right? But you have to work through these things, and start your initiative and your leadership and your confidence by trying to do it yourself. There's nothing in here that most people can't comprehend or do. Just read it and do it. This is probably written at about an 8th, 9th, 10th grade level, right? Third, before we go further, let it be understood what is meant by the term leadership, as it is used in connection with this reading course on the law of success. There are 2 brands of leadership, and one of them is as deadly and destructive as the other is helpful and constructive. The deadly brand, which leads to no success but to absolute failure, is the brand adopted by pseudo leaders who force their leadership, right? Yeah. So those bosses and leaders and individuals who force you, coercion is force you to do stuff, limit your liberties, abuse you mentally, physically, then get out of there. Call the police, get your lawyer, sue them, right? But there's a lot of abusive people out there, right? Not just bosses, right? But all over the place, right? Don't work with them. You know what I do? As soon as I find somebody like that, if I'm online, block, delete, boom, done. Why are you worrying about one person? Are you going to try to save them, convert them, convince them, beat them down to make yourself feel better? Block, delete. And same with offline. Yeah, it's good talking to you. And in your head, you're going, never again. But get away. Sometimes you can't, but as best you can, do it as quickly as you can. Don't let the negative influences linger in your life, right? Also, what you're reading, what you're listening to, where you're hanging out, who you're hanging out with. Careful. You know, there's those things that you listen to, read, see, hear, experience, take in, associate with, right? Some of those things are very negative, poisonous, toxic. Don't hang with them. Some people like to, I don't know, like they're codependent. Like they just keep hanging with the nastiness. And they abuse that person, and that person abuses them, and they just keep doing it day after day, all the time. I can't. My wife, we never argue. My wife and I never yell at her. I get a little antsy once in a while. We all get pissy, right? But I don't yell at her. We don't fight. We don't argue. Why are you together? And also, you should be with people of a like mindset, or who want to work together, not fight together. Some people think that's the way it is. I've been in a relationship 25, 30 years now. You know, and I'm always fighting, always have those fights with my wife. Okay. That's counterproductive. I don't like that. Anyways, it will not be necessary here to describe this brand or point out the fields of endeavor in which it is practiced, with the exception of the field of war. And in the field we will mention but one notable example, that of Napoleon. Napoleon was a leader, right? He talks about that, gives that example. Cherish your visions and your dreams as they are the children of your soul. See how well that is said? Cherish your visions and dreams. Why? Because that's what you get a lot of times, right? But if you can really define what it means in a clear and exact manner, the better you can see something, the more effective you can be at doing something, right? Cherish your visions and your dreams as they are the children of your soul, the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. Right? Again, you can feel it, right? You know what's in there, right? I had one student come up to me and go, she said to me, I'm frustrated. And I said, what? She said, because I want to write, but I know I shouldn't be a writer. I'm not going to make any money. I said, well, yeah, you're right. She was like, what? I said, if that's what you believe, you are correct, right? He said, what do you mean? Well, if you believe that, that's what you're going to, you can't do something if you're convinced that you can't do it, right? But do you know of all the possible jobs and things you can do with writing? I don't want to say they're endless, but there's a lot out there, and I've been writing for a long time, written a lot of things, made good money with my writing skills, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Both Lincoln and Napoleon. So now he's bringing in some more examples. The penalty of leadership. In every field of human endeavor, he that is first must perpetually live in the white light of publicity. There you go. Whether the leadership be vesting in a man or in a manufactured product, emulation and envy are ever at work. So that's why the people who are at the tops in their fields, right? Could be in business, politics, music, all of these here and then some. Those are the ones that people take shots at, right? Just go on social media. You see the famous people. And they lift them up and they love them a few years and they go, what? You know what? That person's annoying. I don't like them anymore. Then they take them down, they shut them up and they cancel, Next, bring up some new people I can adore and worship, and then I'll take them down, right? What do they say? There's a song out there called Kill Your Idols or something like that. One of those punk band things. This is good. When a man's work becomes a standard for the whole world, it also becomes a target for the shafts of the envious few. What he said. If his work be merely mediocre, he will be left severely alone. If he achieve a masterpiece, it will set a million tongues a wagon, right? So and that's what a lot of people do, right? They don't want to achieve. They're more afraid of success than failure, right? Because if I fail, well, I'll just stay down here. Everybody else is failing. It's comfortable down here. So there's a lot of people down here at the bottom with all this failure or doing very little of nothing, right? Fourth paragraph down, spiteful little voices in the domain of art were raised against our own Whistler as a mountebank long after the big, I don't even know what that is, Long after the big world acclaimed him its greatest artistic genius. Right? So here he's going through examples after examples. After the break there, we come back now to the discussion of the third step of the procedure that you must follow in developing initiative leadership. That is take us back to a review of the principle of organized effort. Right? We've already learned that no man can accomplish enduring results of a far-reaching nature without the aid and cooperation of others. That's why I said I know I need other people. You have already learned that when two or more persons ally themselves in any undertaking, mastermind, and a spirit of harmony, not contention, and understanding each person in the alliance thereby multiplies his own powers of achievement. True. Nowhere is this principle more evidenced than it is in the industry or business in which there is perfect teamwork between the employer and the employee, right? Cooperation, next paragraph, is said to be the most important word in the English language. Next paragraph, lack of cooperation has destroyed more business enterprises than have all other causes combined, right? In my 25 years of active business experience and observation, I have witnessed the destruction of all manner of business enterprises. Because of dissension and lack of application of this principle of cooperation. In the practice of law, I observed the destruction of homes and divorce cases without end as a result of the lack of cooperation between man and wife. In the study of the histories of nations, it becomes alarmingly obvious human race all back down through the ages. Turn back the pages of these histories and study them, and you will learn a lesson in cooperation that will express itself and indelibly upon your mind. There's some key words. Service, talk about that. Sacrifice, service is sacrifice. Because when you're serving others, you're forgetting yourself. You're maybe not ignoring yourself, you're putting yourself on hold. Wait a minute, all this stuff that I need to do and need to get done, I'm going to stop it and then sacrifice, serve, right? In order to sacrifice, serve, you need self-control. So you see how all these things work together? That's what he was talking about. They're like not linchpins, but they're stepping stones, right? Or as you build a wall. My father was a great wall builder. You know, you had to put a rock here. The rocks are all different shapes and sizes. And in order to get a wall to build so that it stays there and it doesn't collapse in on itself or just fall out, you have to put the rocks together. And he didn't use any cement or mud or anything. It was just all properly. It's an engineer. So me, I would have gone, just put cement in there or pay somebody to build a wall. He was into building it. That's him, right? That's why he became an engineer. He likes to use his hands and build stuff, put stuff together, right? I rather build stuff with my mind. He does it with his hands. Mind and then hands, right? Aircraft engines, walls, whatever it is, right? But those walls, both my parents are gone now. They died several years ago, but that wall was built, 25, 30 years ago, still there. No stones have fallen. It's not caving in. It's not falling out. Right? Service, sacrifice, self-control, 3 words which must be well understood by the person who succeeds in doing something that is of help to the world. And I just kind of gave you a little bit of insight on those words individually, collectively, how they work together as well. The same rule applies with telling effect and the conduct of modern business and industry. When an industry becomes disorganized and torn asunder by strikes and other forms of disagreement, both the employers and employees suffer irreparable loss. But the damage does not stop here. This loss becomes a burden to the public and takes on the form of higher prices, scarcity, death, and so forth, right? Then he gives another example. Same evil exists in the operation of our railroads and so forth and so on. Let's go. Second to last paragraph. Through harmonized effort and through cooperation, the churches of the world could wield sufficient influence to render war an impossibility. Through the same principle of cooperative effort, the churches and the leaders of business and industry could eliminate rascality. I don't think I've ever heard anybody use that word. Well, you know what a rascal is, right? You rascal, troublemaker, troublesome person. Eliminate rascality and sharp practices, and all this could be brought about speedily, right? Then he's got some examples here during World War One. I was fortunate enough, the wisdom that Major Box had, Major Box. Let's take a look. They are perfectly ready and eager to follow you so long as you can convince them that you have these qualities. This is people looking to leaders, right? When the time comes that they are satisfied you do not possess them, you might as well kiss yourself goodbye. I've never heard that one. I know what the kissing, I know what kissing is occurring, and it's not. Well, it is yourself. It's a little bit lower, midsection, behind you. Your usefulness in that organization is at an end, right? Make excuses for the shortcomings of others if you wish, but hold yourself to strict accountability if you would attain leadership in any undertaking. So this is what people do. They, as I said before, like sports fans, when their team loses, right? It was the refs. It's a conspiracy. The NBA doesn't want this team, our team, their team, whatever team, to win again, or the NBA or MLB or whatever. Seems to be NBA fans are really hooked on that more than, I don't hear that so much about in baseball or football. The game's been rigged by the refs or the umpires. It's weird. Anyways, great results are not achieved by cold, passive, unresponsive soldiers. They don't go very far. So this is where you need passion. This is where you need enthusiasm. That's a coming chapter. Right? They don't go very far, and they stop as soon as they can. Leadership not only demands you know what I should do? One of the things I should do maybe when I finish up is just to kind of go back and definitionally look at all the key terms, key words and terms in each chapter. And maybe I'll make a chart or something. I'll do a Prezi thing online. I like doing that. Oh, I look for a Prezi. I made a presentation some time ago, but now I logged on, I can't find it. And it's basically my program and working with all of these other, not all, but several other books that I use, such as this, Thick Face, Black Heart, and a few others, As a Man Thinketh. And I use them all in a big circle of achievement, right? It shows you how they kind of work and interrelate. Because in order to really use something, you need to see it, see how it works, right? You don't just look at a car and go, hey, that car is working great. No, you have to open the hood, you have to see all the parts and understand all the components and how all the components are interacting. And if they are, how are they functioning? What's wrong? What's good? What's bad? They don't go so very far that they stop as soon as they can. Leadership not only demands, but receives the willing, unhesitating, unfaltering obedience and loyalty of other men, and a devotion that will cause them, when the time comes, to follow their uncrowned king to hell and back again, if necessary. I've seen this. I think I see this allegiance by sports fans to certain players. I've never had that, but certain fans just worship a certain player. I don't know exactly what they're seeing, but they follow them from team to team to team. If a player leaves my team or teams, I might keep an eye on them, see what they're doing on the other teams, but I'm not, I'm not a player follower. I'm a fan of teams, not players, really. Leadership, here's kind of the components thing. Leadership, second to last paragraph, is a composite of the number, composite collection of a number of qualities, just as success is a composite of the 15 factors of which this reading course is built. Among the most important, I would list self-confidence. So these are the top ones, right? Moral ascendancy, being moral, self-sacrifice, because in order to get anything done, the saying goes that being successful or a high achiever isn't so much about what you're doing, even though that's important, but it's more about what you're willing to give up, right? paternalism, parents, fairness, initiative, decision, dignity, right? Self-confidence results first from exact knowledge, definitions, right? Define yourself, define your personality, define your learning style, define your intelligence. If you can't define yourself, you can't say to yourself even what you are, then how can you move forward with great precision and accuracy and purpose, right? Confidence. Second, the ability to impart that knowledge, and the third, the feeling of superiority over others that naturally follows, right? Middle line there, the italicized statement, there is no substitute for accurate knowledge. Bottom paragraph, not only must the officer know, but he must be able to put what he knows into grammatical, interesting, forceful English. He must learn to stand on his feet and speak without embarrassment, right? So that's true. I see people, that's police officers, right? So I see people who are out there doing it, right? And usually, I see them on TV. I don't sit around street corners and watch people per se, but I also know people and how they are as well. But it's more readily accessible if you just watch well-known people. And people who are high achievers in any field, sports, entertainment, business, politics, they all have a certain way of presenting themselves. They're not, most of them, there are exceptions, of course, right? But they're not really hesitant. They're assertive. Not necessarily, a lot of them seem to just be nice, right? They're good, they work well with others, and that's another principle to develop, right? Having a pleasing personality, another chapter. Every time I think of something, it's in here, isn't it, right? But I see there's a certain disposition, there's a certain character, there's a certain way of being, of presenting themselves, of how they interact with others, that is for the long term. It's got some longevity, like gold. Why is gold and silver, platinum? Why is that stuff all valuable? Because it's rare, and it's also got some longevity to it, right? Like diamonds, allegedly. Right? Hard to break a diamond, or hard to smash gold, right? Anyways, let's see. Be an example to your men. So this is, talking about moral force, talking about being an officer in the military. A loudmouth, profane captain who is careless of his personal appearance will have a loudmouth, profane, dirty company. Remember what I tell you, your company will be the reflection of yourself, right? That's why leadership. So if you're ever going to be around people, people are looking at you. If you have brothers and sisters, if you have children, if you have peers, if you're at school, if you're at work, right? Even in public places, right? People are watching you. You got an eye on you. Okay. No accurate thinker will judge another person by that which the other person's enemies say about him. Interesting, accurate thinker, right? Good critical thinker, good observer, good logical thinker, disciplined thinker. No accurate thinker will judge another person by that which the other person's enemies say about him, right? Yeah, because what are the enemies going to say? If I'm a Democrat and I'm talking about a Republican, what am I going to say? Or if I'm a Democrat talking about a Democrat, it's going to be a little different, right? Doesn't this guy commit crimes and he's on drugs and blah, blah, blah? Oh, but he had terrible upbringing. And then the other guy does half that. Oh, he's evil. Why? Not in my party. That's kind of how life is, isn't it? You cannot treat all humans, it says men. You gotta take that out of it. You cannot treat all men alike. Consideration, courtesy, this is I tell you, Boy Scout, be a Boy Scout, be a Girl Scout. Consideration, courtesy, and respect from officers toward enlisted men are not incompatible with discipline. They are parts of our discipline. Without initiative and decision, no man can expect to lead, right? Why? The man who always takes and never gives, gluttony, selfishness, right? is not a leader, right? So all of these principles are based in concepts of character that you want to build, right? My wife says I'm an honorable guy. I think something like that, you know. She says, I know you wouldn't say that because you're an honorable guy. Even the a landlord I had that there was some, what was the landlord? And then the company that the property management company said something to our landlord about us, being maybe specifically. And he said, no, I know, Jeff, he wouldn't do that. See, your reputation. For some reason, I want to put 2 R's in it. Your reputation. There it is. Your reputation precedes you. It's late at night. I should be wrapping up. Any reasonable order in an emergency is better than no order. Situation is there, meet it. It's better to do something and do the wrong thing than to hesitate, hunt around for the right thing to do, and wind up doing nothing. Good. And having decided on a line of action, stick to it. Don't vacillate. Back and forth. Men have no confidence in an officer who doesn't know his own mind. So true. Every time you change your orders without, so now we're doing the military thing here. Not a big fan of, you know, such an extended metaphor or example, but to each his own. Every time you change your orders without obvious reason, you weaken your authority and impair the confidence of your men. And I've had people do this. We'll be there at 1. No, we'll be there at 2. No 3, no 4. And always changing or saying, you know, well, we'll be right there, and then show up 4 hours later, right? You know, how are people going to trust you, follow you, be consistently interested in being with you, right? I am taking it for granted that you have physical courage. I need not tell you how necessary that is. Courage is more than bravery. Bravery is fearlessness, the absence of fear. The merest dolt may be brave because he lacks the mentality to appreciate his danger. He doesn't know enough to be afraid. Right? Let's see. So what else? I think that should. As I said, these chapters are often very long. I'm not going to go through all of these. And again, we'd be sitting here. Life is not a goblet to be drained. It is a measure to be filled. Hadley, intolerance. And then in the end, he always has these little prologues. If you must give expression to prejudice and hatred and intolerance, do not speak it, but write it. Write it in the sands. You've heard this one before. Near the water's edge. And that's about intolerance. And then the next one is imagination. All right. So that's enough for now. I hope you enjoyed my little brief overview and insights and look at this chapter. You know, we're moving to chapter 6. We've got 16, so we're getting to the halfway point. Anyways, we'll see you soon. See you next time. Be good humans.